In today's video, I'm giving you the ultimate beginner's guide on how to play Fortnite. If you've been watching Fortnite gameplay videos or scrolling through Fortnite highlights wondering how everyone else seems to know what they're doing while you continue to get eliminated in the first few minutes, then this video is for you. Let's be honest, I'm no Fortnite pro. I'm just a guy that was where you were about 12 months ago, and what I'll show you today is based on what I've learned over the 400 hours of Fortnite gameplay. I've created timestamps in the description, so feel free to skip around within the video. In this guide on how to play Fortnite, I'll walk you through the basics of Fortnite Battle Royale, key points for early game, mid game, and end game, the importance of building and editing, inventory management, weapons, consumables, and mobility items, the different materials for building, and finally the game settings you'll need to level up your Fortnite gameplay and give you the best possible advantage. By the end of this, you'll feel confident enough to start creating your own Fortnite edits and maybe even making your own Fortnite highlights reel. Fortnite is an online competitive shooter and best known for the Battle Royale map. In Battle Royale, each game starts with 100 players, dropping into the Fortnite map from the battle bus. Everyone starts with nothing. No weapons, no shields, no materials, so it's fair. And the goal is to be the last player standing to earn the victory royale. It's a large map, and within you'll find numerous ecosystems, often alternating between grasslands, snow, and desert. And within these ecosystems, you'll find named POIs, which stands for points of interest. Each game is marked by a safe zone, and outside of this safe zone is the storm. If you're in the storm, you'll lose health, and the amount of health is dependent on the progress of the game. Each game there are 12 storm circles, which shrink over time. In the beginning, you'll lose 1 health per second in the storm, but by the end it will increase to 10 health per second, so you don't want to get caught in the storm come endgame. In addition, if you stay in the storm too long, you can get storm sickness, where the damage increases to 15 health per second. The early game is all about looting. You really don't want to get into scraps with other players. What you do want to do is land and start building out your inventory slots with weapons, shield, mobility, and materials. In the beginning, your game sense and reaction time will be miffed, and getting pushed by 2 to 3 players isn't going to be useful to you when the result is just you going back to the lobby and waiting another 5 minutes to get into a new game. So if you're still learning how to play Fortnite, I recommend choosing quieter areas on the edge of the map. This gives you the time to gear up, get comfortable with movement, and avoid constant pressure early on. One of the most common beginner mistakes is dropping into a big name POI like this season's The Hive, Ranger's Ruin, or Utopia City. These spots are easily identifiable and full of loot, and because of this, they're also hot drops for skilled players. This early game survival is important for boosting your Fortnite gameplay and confidence in your surroundings. Staying alive and developing your game sense, which is when and how to rotate around the map, while navigating the storm and other players, is the key to your progression. As a beginner, I suggest before you jump into a game, head over to fortnite.gg and take a look at the layout of the map. Toggle on items such as the chests, cars, and slurp trucks, and pick a drop spot that is more on the edge of the map and away from a named POI. I'd suggest getting familiar with 2 to 3 drop spots in different corners of the map, so you have options depending on where the battle bus navigates. The next thing to consider is the drop from the battle bus. If your drop is on the edge of the map, then getting the best drop isn't that important. However, as your skill improves and you start to hot drop into named POIs, the art of dropping becomes an essential skill because the first player to the ground gets the advantage of a weapon. You'll notice 2 movement options when you jump from the bus, the free fall and the gliding. On the right, you'll see your altitude symbol and a line marking how far away you are from the ground. When you're about 300 meters from the ground, your glider will deploy automatically. As you're gliding into a drop location, you'll want to ensure you're aware of other players. An easy way to see this is by turning on your visual sound effects in your settings, which we'll get to in a minute. The second you land, you're on the clock and you need to move fast. There's no time for meandering. While you may not encounter other players because you're on the edge of the map, the storm is likely to roll in not long after. The first thing you need to do is go to the chests you've located using fortnite.gg. Priority 1 is a shotgun, a spray weapon, and shield. Once you have weapons and shield, start pickaxing everything as you continue to loot chests and ammo boxes. You'll need materials for the upcoming fights, so keep going until you have about 500 to 1,000 materials. A quick way to get wood is to pickaxe trees and shrubs and look for boulders to get your brick. Buildings generally don't provide as many materials, so don't waste your time there. However, buildings and structures are useful to move between while looting, as they can shield you from other players taking shots at you from a distance. Once you have looted an area, grab your car and start moving slowly to other loot areas that are not named POIs. This is now considered mid-game. The mid-game is all about upgrading inventory and building on your materials, while monitoring the maps for medallion players and the movement of the safe zone. There are two ways to play this, and it comes down to risk and reward. Option 1 delivers the greatest reward, and it's by seeking out strategic fights with weakened players. With each elimination, you get their materials, their weapons, and their heals. Look for other players that are fighting and try to time your entry with the end of their fight. If you time it right, their health will be low, and you should be able to push in and spray them for an easy elimination. Just be careful. If you see them fighting and they demonstrate a good amount of building, it's likely they will know how to counter your strike, and you could end up heading back to the lobby yourself. Option 2 is low risk, but reward is more luck. In this strategy, you would continue to play stealth and move between different locations. Gathering materials will take longer, and upgrading your weapons comes down to luck when opening chests and finding floor loot from eliminated players. Ultimately, your decision on which option to choose depends on your playstyle and whether it's more important to you to get to the end game or build on your fighting experience. During this time, you should be looking at the map periodically to see what areas of the map remain in the safe zone and planning a rough loot path based on where the circle seems to be heading. A final point about mid-game is the dead side of the map. As the circles shrink, you'll notice there is one side that appears to have less landmass than the other sides. This is dead side, and where you should find less action and players. The sides with the greater landmass around the circle will have more players and action, as these players are forced to push forward to get into the safe zone and often run into each other. If you want fights, go to the side with the greatest landmass. If you want peace, go to dead side. Endgame is where most beginner players fall over, and there's three main reasons. Number 1, the final players are typically good players with the best loadouts. Up to this point, if a beginner has made it this far, they have either avoided fights or they've been lucky. These remaining fights will not be easy. Number 2, the safe zone is smaller and not only changes at faster intervals, but it shifts wildly from one location to another. On top of that, the damage rate of the storm is anywhere from 5 health to 10 health per second. And number 3 is nerves. Good players won't wait in reserve. They will push, and when you add the fast and damaging storm to the environment, it all adds up, causing beginners just to make mistakes. The best way to improve your endgame is, you guessed it, play more endgames. You need more time and experience in those high pressure environments to learn how to better manage these 3 variables, with nerves being the key one. However, there is one aspect that can tip the odds in your favor, and that's positioning. If you can rotate to the safe zone before the other players, you may have the advantage of taking shots at them as the storm pushes them towards you. I found that in the beginning, I was nervous about rotating, and I often died in the storm because I left it too late. In my view, dying in the storm is way more annoying than at the hands of another player, so I learned to move early or take the fight. Don't wait until the last second to move to zone. Try to locate the other players and look for a safe path. Lastly, this is the only time when you might drop shield or your long range weapon for health heals in an attempt to out heal the remaining players in the storm. Fortnite Battle Royale has one of the highest learning curves of any game out there because of the building and the editing. Learning to build and edit in Fortnite is like learning a new language, a musical instrument, or a new sport. It's a skill which takes months to learn the basics and years to master. And even then, you either have it or you don't. This is not a tutorial on how to build, and if you want to know more, I'd suggest you check out the creative map, How to Build by Jiven TV. I've tried dozens of build maps, and this is the best one out there by far because of the in-game videos and explanations. But at a basic level, there are 4 build pieces: a ramp, a cone, a floor, and a wall. The wall is arguably the most important one, as you'll use it to hide behind and protect yourself against oncoming gunshots. Get in the habit of automatically throwing up a wall if you're being fired upon, and with time this will become instinct. To take this a step further, you want to practice building a box around yourself in these situations. That way when someone shoots, they will hit the wall and you'll see which direction they're coming from. Just make sure you place a cone and floor above you and a cone in your box. This way you're protected from an opponent above you and from a good player putting a ramp or cone in your box and controlling you. Taking this a step further is the function of editing your builds. This is when you put a window or a door in a wall to go through or shoot from, or you open up your roof to escape from. Building and editing is not something you will get a lot of practice in Battle Royale unless you're very good and you dominate the lobby with 20 plus eliminations with a series of box fighting. When it comes to building and editing, you'll want to use practice and creative maps against AI or real players. This way you'll get more time practicing these skills. I'd suggest Jiven's practice map for edit practice and 99 bots farm Royale for an easy environment against AI bots. When it comes to your inventory, you have 5 slots and it never seems to be enough, so you need to be selective. It's considered best practice to hold your shotgun in slot 1, your spray weapon like an AR or SMG in slot 2, slot 3 or slot 5 is generally reserved for mobility items, which leaves slot 4 for shield. The reason for this arrangement is because most players are on controller and you can only cycle through inventory left to right or right to left, meaning you can't jump from slot 1 to slot 4 like a keyboard player. As the pickaxe is on the left, you'll want the shotgun next to it for when it comes to box fighting. Naturally, you'll want your spray weapon next to your shotgun to finish off a player in a fight, and you'll want mobility close at hand either to escape a fight gone bad or to rush into a fight. As you're still learning to play Battle Royale, you're going to need more shield than seasoned players, so I'd suggest holding shield in slot 3 and 4 if you choose to hold mobility in slot 5. But you could opt to hold more mobility, an explosive weapon, or a sniper gun in slot 3 instead. It really just comes down to your playstyle. What's important is to be consistent with slot 3, 4, and 5. Try to keep order in your inventory slots so you don't need to look at your slots before every use. Every second your eyes are diverted to the inventory slot, you're not looking at the Fortnite gameplay and you're vulnerable to attack. Too many players just pick up everything and anything and get eliminated because they're underprepared or fumbling over their inventory. If you're serious about improving your Fortnite gameplay, stick to this rule. If your inventory is clean and structured, you'll be less likely to end up being an example of someone else's Fortnite edit content. Let's talk firepower. Weapons come in rarities: grey, common, green, uncommon, blue, rare, purple, epic, orange, legendary, gold, mythic, and this teal looking color is exotic. Fortnite.gg once again has a great resource for comparing attributes between the rarities, but generally the higher the rarity, the better the gun. Often meaning faster reloads, higher damage, and tighter spread. There's 5 main types of weapon: shotgun, SMG, AR, sniper, and explosive. Each has a particular use case and your decision on one over another will depend on your playstyle. However, it is best practice to always carry a shotgun and a spray weapon. Each weapon has its own characteristics, so you need to try them all to see which one you feel most comfortable with. For example, the Sentinel pump shotgun is a favorite for most players right now as it hits hard, but you only get 4 shots before needing to reload and the range is not great. Whereas a Wrecker revolver has 7 shots in the chamber but doesn't do quite as much damage. So if your aim is bad, the Sentinel may not be the best choice for you. When it comes to a spray weapon, again, this comes down to your playstyle. If you're a player that likes to stay at a distance, then an AR like the OXR rifle would be a good choice as it's accurate and has great range. But if you like closer range fights, then the Fury, AR, or even an SMG would be a good option as they have a faster fire rate. Just a quick beginner tip, there is a shotgun delay between the 2 shots. So learn to switch between the shotgun and the spray weapon quickly. Best practice is to hit someone with a shotgun, then switch to the spray weapon to finish them off rather than go for a second shot with your shotgun. Moving into consumables, Fortnite has 2 layers of protection. You've got your health, which is the green bar. If this hits 0, you're basically eliminated, and you've got shields, which is your blue bar. This acts like armor, absorbing damage before health is touched. Your priority is always to keep shields topped up as they are considered more valuable than health heals, also known as whites. If you have no shield, you're effectively 100 damage away from being eliminated, whereas if you have 100 shield, that means you have some health, so you're automatically more than 100 damage away from being eliminated. Some form of shield should be constant in your inventory slot. Minis, big pots, chug splashes, flowberry fizz, shield fish, they're all good examples, but some are better than others as they give you buffs like the Flowberry Fizz, which allows greater movement too. Minis give you 25 shield, but you can only heal to a maximum of 50 shield using them. After that, you need a big pot or some other form of shield to get to 100. So if you do pick up a big pot and there are still unlooted chests in your area, don't pop the big pot until you loot the chests. You may get minis from the chests and you can pop them before the big pot to get to 100 shield. Don't get caught on shield or you'll end up being fodder in someone else's Fortnite highlights. Finally, let's talk mobility. The Battle Royale map is quite vast and getting from one side to the other requires the use of mobility items such as vehicles, launch pads, geysers, and zip lines. In addition to this, holding mobility in your inventory is a must for when you can't access these mobility items, especially for those times when you're fighting other players or having to retreat. The current season has shockwaves and shockwave launches, but as mentioned, some shield items provide mobility buffs like the Flowberry Fizz. Some mobility items are more difficult to use than others, and as a beginner, I'd suggest holding Flowberry Fizz over a shockwave launcher. It provides 5 shield per second, and if you take a sprinkle at a time, you can cover a lot of ground by jumping and sliding. It also means you're not prone to shockwaving yourself into the storm at the worst possible time. There are 3 types of metals, wood, brick, and metal, and each has a use case. In a game of Battle Royale, you're restricted to 500 units of each material, which means you can only ever have a maximum of 1,500 units. Sounds like a lot, but each placed build consumes 10 units. So you have effectively 100 build pieces and enough to build 21 boxes. Still sounds like a lot, but you'll be surprised how fast this burns when you're in a prolonged build fight. Like the story of the 3 little pigs, wood structures are the quickest to throw up and set in place, taking about 6 seconds. Brick takes about 20 seconds and metal takes about 35 seconds. As you would expect, wood has the lowest strength rating at 150 health, brick has 300 and metal has 500. Because of this, wood is the worst choice and metal is the best choice for building when you're getting fired upon. The Fortnite map favors wood and is more readily available through trees and shrubs. Because of this, wood is useful for just navigating around the landscape, like when you come up against a building or mountain and need to scale over it. An easy mistake for beginners is to just build in metal and brick all the time, thinking they're more protected. However, it doesn't take too long to burn through these materials, leaving only wood for protection against oncoming gunfire. Seasoned players will take advantage of this and just spray through the wood build, quickly finishing a fight. So get into the habit of using your wood as your default until you come across an opponent, then switch to brick and metal. This brings us to the last and important topic, which is optimizing your game settings. There is a lot of contention about the best binds and best sensitivity settings on YouTube, and this is not for me to add another voice to the overcrowded forum. Instead, I want to address your game settings that will level up your actual Fortnite gameplay. What I will say briefly about binds and settings is based on my experience going from the standard Xbox controller to an Xbox Elite 2 controller with back paddles to a WASD keyboard and mouse arrangement to now using a joystick for WASD and a keyboard and a mouse, is that there are no perfect binds and no perfect sensitivities. What matters more is sticking to whatever you decide on and not going down the path of temptation, thinking that changing your settings will automatically make you Peterbot. All you need to do is look up the Fortnite pros and you'll easily notice they all have slightly different binds and sensitivities. What has made them all elite players is sticking with their settings for years upon years until everything is second nature. That said, the number one most important game setting is the visual sound effects in the audio tab. By having this on, you'll notice footsteps on your screen in-game, which signifies the direction of a close-by enemy player. Without this, you're relying solely on your audio to pick up on enemy direction. And in an intense moment with in-game explosions or your little Timmy teammates yapping into the mic, you can easily miss the whereabouts of an enemy player sneaking up on you. Beyond this, configuring your preferred item slots in the game tab is useful too. By doing this, it means the items you pick up will generally fall into the slots you've designated, and this results in you wasting less time sorting out your inventory, especially during a tense moment. And finally, when it comes to optimizing your building, turn reset building choice on, turbo building on, disable pre-edit option on, and auto confirm edits both. And that's the beginner's guide on how to play Fortnite. Stick with these fundamentals and I guarantee your Fortnite gameplay will improve, your Fortnite highlights will look better, and soon enough your clips will be worthy of a Fortnite edit. If this has helped, please hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment about what point helped you the most. Thanks for watching and good luck in your next game.